with all the tumult that goes on in life and the noise, and this kind of silence is really very wonderful. You can, go deep inside and find the source of that silence, which is creative energy, the Om sound. Does anybody have a question?
Stuart, I have a question, Bob Sink.
Yes, Bob?
Now that you brought up the Om sound, um, it is that something that I can invoke, or I have to wait for it to come?
Well, how do you invoke the source of creative energy in the universe? You can't do it, Bob. You have to build a system inside that is open enough so that you can connect with energy that is right at the source of all creativity. And when you have developed that kind of chakra system, it will enter you right through the crown chakra and go into each chakra. That sound will really move through your system and from chakra to chakra and nurture each and every one of the chakras and help you to grow inside yourself. But you can't invoke that. How do you do? It's like, it is. It just is. And you can't manufacture it. You can open to it. You can build a chakra system that's ready to receive it, but you can't invoke it. But when you do open to it, it really increases the intensity of your inner work. See, the funny thing about this meditation, look, we got to learn to use the mind, the breath, but you can't make it happen. And you got to understand that. You allow it to happen. You relax deeply into it. You can't make creative energy happen, but you can build a system inside that allows that energy to flow through you and nurture every part of your inner being. I've sat, and many, many people, before I even taught this, who tried to make it happen, and they got tighter and tighter and tighter inside. And Rudy used to remind them of this all the time. Don't try to force it to happen. Build your inner life. It's like a work of art. You can't force it to happen. It'll look like it when it's finished. But if you have the craft, you have the inner development, it flows through you and you create something wonderful, or it creates itself, just using you as a vehicle to manifest in the world. And of course, as I say all the time, what is the greatest work of art? Life. I remember when I was younger, I was reading Plato, and he went into a whole thing about how art, music, drama, all it's a secondary, path to God. It's not the experience. And boy, did I get upset when I read that, because I was absolutely at the, you know, worshiping art, thought it was a path to God. Through years of inner work, I learned it's not. Life itself is the greatest work of art. And we need to learn how to open inside so that we can truly allow that extraordinary work of art to manifest in front of us. Or to see what is manifested in front of us. So it becomes a living experience, not some very good intellectual idea that makes you sound intelligent in a conversation. It's a living experience. The spiritual life is a living experience. So it's the same way with Om, Bob. And it's just not easy for people in the kind of world we live in because we're taught from the earliest age to make everything happen. When's the last time your parents told you to let it happen?
Mhm.
You know, we're taught to make it happen, manufacture it. Plow your way through the pearly gates. It doesn't work that way. We have to surrender inside. And our job is to build an inner life that is strong enough to allow it to happen.
I have a question, Stuart.
Yes.
Does it help when doing the drop tension exercise, the please help me to surrender all negative psychic tension? Would it help or encourage the Om to well up within us once we drop that tension?
Encourage the Om to do what?
What come into us if we do the drop tension exercise first? Does that help open up space for that Om
Well,
sound?
dropping tension. Tension is the thing that makes everything really difficult. And tension is the thing that keeps us from having a spiritual life. The mastery of tension will make it possible for you to have a spiritual life. So whereas tension, it blocks up everything. It congests your whole, but then learning how to master it and transform it into chi, into an open heart, into a quiet mind. It's learning how to master tension. Mastering your inner chaos will allow you to have a spiritual life. Not doing anything about your inner chaos will drive you right into an insane asylum. So, dropping tension is a very significant part of this. Learning how to transform your tension from something negative into a force of energy that enables you to connect with God, higher energy, whatever you want to call that. This exercise is about doing that, transforming the blocks, the tensions, the insecurity, the guilt, the fear, all of the nonsense that runs rapid inside people, transforming it into an open heart to love and sustaining that love because you have built a system that can do it inside you. So yes, dropping tension. A lot of people's tension keeps them from ever hearing the Om sound. And there's also this thing called tinnitus, I think doctors call it. You read about it all the time. I mean, mostly it's just people connecting with the sound of Om. So they're creating all kind of medicines to heal them from something that if they learn to master and use properly, it will give them a spiritual life.
Thank you. That's interesting. Thank you.
Well, I hope it's more than interesting.
I mean, about the tinnitus part. No, thank you. Thank you.
Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Stuart, I have a question. Derek,
Yes, Eric.
um, is it like that with treating everything as sacred as well? Because today, like I just found out yesterday, someone um, I lived by just died, and it's really been bothering me, a lot for a while until I realized, oh, Derek, you really have to level up and take your days and your time much more seriously. And
No, but,
it's, you know,
but Eric, there's nothing wrong with experiencing a little grief, the loss of somebody in your life. I mean, that's just being human. The problem is people let the grief go on for years.
mm,
They don't let go, and you create ghosts that way. People hang out, the ghost of the person. The grief is human. We're human beings. We lose somebody, that's close to us that we know. But then we have to learn how to transform the grief into, my God, they're free, you know? Because we're not grieving for them, we're grieving for ourselves, our own fear of death. Please, Jorge, don't, you have to sit still, please. It's really, if you're drinking and moving, it disrupts the energy of the class. Thank you. I hope you understand that, Derek. Like in this book I'm writing, I wrote a bit about this whole thing of grief. I have a chapter called Grief, and it's about all of this.
thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome. So don't beat yourself up because you feel grief. You're just a
Okay.
human being. But don't sustain it. Just feel that and then let it go. When you let it go, you free that soul to go and evolve and move on. Its next incarnation. I mean, when Shakur passed on, a couple of weeks ago, I mean, I was telling Jennifer, he's come here to spend the weekend with us. His soul was living in our apartment here, you know, and I welcomed him, I was getting ready to offer him a cup of tea, you know, but didn't hold on because he has to move on, take everything he learned in this lifetime and move on. He has to move on to the next incarnation in the process of getting closer to enlightenment. But he was here for a weekend, whole weekend. I had Shakur's soul living here. And it was, a little bit weird, but kind of wonderful. Does anyone else have a question? Just to finish this, Rudy used to tell me all the time, when I pass on, when I die, don't grieve for me, don't lament, don't moan and cry. He said, just learn now what I have to teach. Learn what I have to teach. And if you learn what I have to teach and you can use it to help other human beings, who are looking at some point in their life to have a spiritual life, you will do me the greatest service you can possibly do it. More than grieving for me for a year or 2 years, being sorry that I'm gone, He said, learn what I have to teach. Don't build shrines to me. He told me so many times, don't build, just learn what I have to teach. I ask people the same thing, learn what I have to teach. One day I won't be here anymore, you know? But while I'm here, I have these classes 6 times a week on Zoom. I have retreats. I have, we're having an in-person class next weekend here. And I, learn what I have to teach. And I made that commitment to myself. I was going to learn what Rudy had to teach. And, you know, it was a job to learn that. Does anyone else have a question? Okay, if there are no more questions, there'll be meditation tomorrow evening. Thank you. God bless you all. Have a wonderful evening. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody. Thank you.
Good night, Stuart. Thank you. See you tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Stuart.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful.